Hello and welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Today we are going to discuss a very important development from the perspective of international relations. The election of the leader of Nepal, that is Pushpa Dahal Prachanda. He has become Prime Minister of Nepal. Is it a really good news for India? Is it a good news for China? You will find all about it in today's episode. I will try to make it as brief as possible, and these are the many topics that we are going to discuss step by step. And it is going to be important from the perspective of prelims as well as GS mains paper. Second, let us move ahead and first of all discuss the backdrop. See, Pushpa Dahal Prachanda has been sworn in as Nepal's new Prime Minister, and it was done so by the President Vidya Devi Bhandari, and that was in accordance with Article 76 Clause 2 of the Constitution. He has been sworn in as the Prime Minister after his party was backed by 169 of the total 275 members of the House of Representatives. It's a coalition government. The kingmaker, the erstwhile Prime Minister of Nepal, 𝐾𝐶 has become the kingmaker over here. It's very interesting. We'll find out about this as well. First of all, let us know about Pushpa Dahal Prachanda. He is the former leader of the Maoist rebels who waged a civil war in Nepal against the monarchy, and which eventually led to the fall of monarchy in Nepal. He was born on December 11, 1954 in 𝐸𝐾𝐒 of 𝐾𝐶𝐤 near Pokhara, Nepal, and he led the war during 1996 to 2006 that was against the monarchy. He entered mainstream politics after signing the Comprehensive Peace Agreement in November 2006, and the abolition of Nepal monarchy, the credit for this goes to him. He served two prime ministerial tenures, first 2008 and 9 and the second one in 2016-17. He led the communist movement, and that was turned into a bloody insurgency, and the name he earned, Prachanda, was during this only, and it means not fairness but fierce in Nepali and Indian languages. Okay, moving ahead now, if we have to talk about what actually developed, what has transpired within these few months, these few days, because 𝐏𝐫𝐻 was set to become the Prime Minister, but something changed. What is that? Until Sunday afternoon, 𝐏𝐫𝐻 was said to be the Prime Minister of Nepal, and there was an understanding between Prachanda's party and his party, but because there was an issue with respect to becoming the Prime Minister on a rotational basis, if they had a coalition, there could be an understanding that sometimes 𝐏𝐫𝐻 was the Prime Minister, the other times on a rotational basis Prachanda was. But 𝐏𝐫𝐻 was not happy with this agreement. So Prachanda walked out of the Nepali Congress-led 5-party alliance. So there was not support. There was not a support that was arranged earlier. After talks with 𝐏𝐫𝐻 failed, he reached the private residence of 𝐾𝐶 and that was to seek his support to become the Prime Minister. Then 𝐾𝐶 when the crucial meeting was held in his private residence, the foes turned friends. Okay, so an understanding between them was reached to share the seat of the Prime Minister on a rotational basis. Oli agreed to make Prachanda the Prime Minister, and that would be at the first chance as per his demand. For the first rotation, Prachanda will be the Prime Minister. And Oli, what does Oli have in his hand? He will get to have his own candidate for the head of the state and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. So he will have a say in the government as well. Okay. Moving ahead, in last month's election, 𝐏𝐫𝐻's Nepali Congress has emerged the single largest party, but it wanted a coalition. It wanted the support of other parties as well to seek majority. So the NC-led alliance comprised Prachanda's CPN Maoist Center, CPN Unified Socialist and Lokatantrik Samajwadi Party, and it faced Oli's CPN Unified Marxist-Leninist-led coalition comprising Rashtriya Prajatantra Party and Janata Samajwadi Party. This is not important for your examination, but just get a gist of it. If someday you will become an IFS officer, if you will be posted in Nepal, at least you know something. So, Prachanda eventually withdrew support to join Oli-led bloc, and some other parties also joined. Oli emerged as the Prime Ministerial candidate with parliamentary majority, and Prachanda and Oli were co-chairs until last year of the unified CPM, but then there were certain issues with the kind of ideologies they shared, and now they are friends again, which was very unprecedented. So, first of all, why we are discussing it? Because Nepal is very important for India. India has been an enduring feature in every significant political development in Nepal, be it the direct role that India played in 1950s democratic movement that overthrew the autocratic Rana regime, or the 1990 People's Movement that established multi-party democracy, and of course, the 2006 Jan Andolan People's Movement of second. Many people, if not all of them, but many people do believe that India has a hand, either directly or indirectly, in their policies or politics, and some important leaders of Nepal also believe in this conspiracy theory. And then comes the security factor. India is critical to Nepal's security, given the size, the extent, the reach of India's subcontinent. So what happens? On the one hand, India is Nepal's primary conventional security threat as well, because it's a huge country in comparison to Nepal. So Nepal is all the time really, considerate of the fact that India is a huge country in its neighbor. And additionally, New Delhi's absorption of Sikkim into India and Nepal's territorial disputes that it has with India with respect to Limpiadura, Kalapani, all these are an issue or a challenge to the India-Nepal relations. But at the same time, India also has given support to Nepal in many manners, such as, of course, the relief during the earthquake that Nepal went through, the vaccine diplomacy that India developed with the help of Nepal. So all these are, one or the other things that gives India an edge over Nepal. The 1950 treaty also gives India complete leverage over the supply of military equipments to Nepal. Although we must understand that Nepal time and again has tried to bypass this. So, it is becoming too much dependent on India. Then, India looms large in Nepali economy as well. In the 1950s and 60s, Nepal traded exclusively with India. And the total trade volume was small, but India now accounted for 95% of Nepal's foreign trade. After the economy of both the countries were liberalized, more and more dependence of Nepal went towards India. Currently, more than two-thirds of Nepal's trade is with India, and Nepal's trade deficit with India was around $8 billion in 2020-21. Moving ahead, if we have to talk about other important things, Nepal's complete reliance on India is there for critical supplies of petroleum products and also food imports. These are rapidly increasing. India has a major influence in Nepal's socio-cultural aspect as well, be it Bollywood, be it cultural association India has with respect to religion, be it the importance of Roti Beti Ka Rishta that India has with Nepal. So all these are a factor in the contemporary Nepal-India relations. Now comes, of course, China and Nepal. Mao Zedong called Tibet the palm of China, which eventually was absorbed into China, and Nepal was one of its fingers. That meant that Nepal should be absorbed. What does it imply? It implies that Nepal should be absorbed eventually into China. So Mao initiated, armed and supported the Maoist insurgency in Nepal that led to a 10 years and 9 months bloody civil war. And of course, we have talked about Prachanda leading it. So Prachanda and 𝐾𝐵 Oli, these both are blue-eyed boys of China. Moving ahead, we have to talk about Oli's time. See, Oli served as the Prime Minister of Nepal during 2015-16 and 18 and 2021. During his tenure only, President of China, Xi Jinping, visited Nepal, and the bilateral partnership was elevated to strategic partnership of cooperation featuring everlasting friendship for development and prosperity. This is with respect to developing infrastructure in Nepal under Belt and Road Initiative. Okay. Then in China-Nepal agreement on boundary management system was also reached. Apart from that, Oli published a map at the same time when all this was going on. Its relations, Nepal's relations with India were souring. Because back then, Oli published a map showing 3 areas of India as a part of Nepal without any discussion with India. First is Limpiadura, second is Kalapani, and third you will tell me in the comment segment. Oli took a confrontationist approach with India and established new posts as well as helipads close to Kalapani, and that was for the first time ever that was seen in the last 70 years. At the same time, we read the news that Chinese PLA, People's Liberation Army, that is Army of China, and the border police occupied Nepalese territory in Limilapcha area of Namkha Gopalika of Hamla. Again, in June 2020, Nepal's Survey Department of Agriculture said that China had encroached in 10 places comprising nearly 33 hectares of Nepalese land and removed the boundary towers, installed their own villages, China has also been diverting the flow of rivers to increase its territory. So all these are not in favor of India. Only becoming the kingmaker in the current context has also not been in favor of India. There has been no Chinese ambassador after the departure of the earlier one this year, and he was very instrumental in stitching up the communist alliances of 2018 and of Oli and Prachanda. So of course, now what happens that communism is something as an ideology that will bind China and Nepal together. And Cheng Song, he is the upcoming ambassador in the current times. President Vidya Devi Bhandari is very close to Oli and supports the coming together of the leftist forces that is not in favor of India right now. New reports of November 17, 2022 also reveal that there is an agreement for a key expressway near Nepal's border with India, and this has been awarded to a Chinese company. Nepal Army has issued the letter of intent to Chinese firm First Highway Engineering. Okay, so there are certain things that we have to keep in mind. Letter of intent was issued less than 10 days before Nepal's general elections. India also bid for it through Afcon's infrastructure. It was ignored, and China's First Highway Engineering reportedly it lacked the technical expertise to build the 6th phase of the Kathmandu-Terai Madheshi Expressway, and because of which it was earlier disqualified, but the backdoor entry was allowed. Okay, so these are not in favor of India. For India, it would have been better if 𝐿𝐷 could remain in power, but communist forces, you see, when they come together, it becomes a really challenging time for India. India-Nepal relations improved after 𝐿𝐷 became the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, although how important Nepal is for India can be seen from the fact that Prime Minister of India was the first foreign leader to congratulate Prachanda. And Narendra Modi, although earlier avoided the meeting with Prachanda, despite Prachanda's request when he visited Delhi earlier this year. And whereas 𝐿𝐷 received a red carpet welcome. So let's see what is going to transpire in the future. Although we need to understand that this coalition is going to be very challenging, because since its transition to a parliamentary democracy, we can see that Nepal has seen 33 governments in the last 32 years, and for the new Prime Minister or the new coalition, Prachanda-Oli coalition, the formation of the cabinet with a ceiling of 25 is going to be the biggest challenge, because every member of the party considers themselves to be equally opportune for portfolios, and the parties would have to show more accommodation keeping that in mind. So that's it. I will take the names of those students who have answered my last question correctly right now, and I will attach another question in this comment segment, today's comment segment, so that you can answer it. So D was the correct answer. Shubham, Aisha, Anjusha, Puneet, Rupal, Raju, Sagarika, Mrinalini, Raghvendra, K. Nagendra, Payal Kumari, Rahul, Mohammad Anwar Alam, Akhil, Navjot, Vani, A.K. King, Adarsh, Shahid, Kumar, Ivory, Rehan, and Reshmi Ranjan. You all have answered it correctly. Apart from that, also Soumya, then Aditya Birla, Pallavi Jangir, Shubham Gupta, Ruxana, Tushita, Srinivas, Indu Yadav, Shweta, Pragya, Chandana, Shirley, Anuj, and Karujola. Thank you so much for answering. Answer the next question as well. Stay updated and stay engaged.